All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about mental psychology when it comes to trading. So the game of the inner game part of trading, not the outer game where people choose indicators and stuff. The inner game is more about the psychology, the brain, making the decision process. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. But before we do, I do want to remind you that if you want to work with me together, feel free to reach out. I work with people for 6 months or more on their trading. It's a longer program commitment, but we work together doing exercises and a lot more. All right, so let's get into some trading psychology today. I want to chat a little bit more about the halo effect. If you've never heard of this, it's basically in simple form because we don't have to get into the whole psychology aspect of it. So bear with me if you are a psychologist and you really understand these topics. I'm just trying to give you some ideas and reference points to how it really applies to trading. So the halo effect, if you've never heard of it, is basically having a positive impression of a person, company, brand, or product in one area to positively influence one's opinion or feeling in other areas. So I tend to see this quite a lot when I do the one-on-one coaching sessions and people are, I'm asking them, hey, which stocks do you want to look at? Which ones are you comfortable with? Which ones do you like to trade? Oftentimes I'll get kind of a similar results or similar answers. So what they'll do is they'll start mentioning things like, oh, I like, Apple. And I'm like, why do you like Apple? Oh, I like their phones, or I like the company. I like what they do. Or they might say Amazon. Well, Amazon can't go down. It's just so big. So I think it's really important to recognize, if this halo effect is kind of impacting your trading decisions, right? Because when you're looking at doing some trades, you need to understand and recognize, hey, am I being influenced in other ways through this halo effect? And what some people do is they really tie that to experiences they've had with the company. But just because you've had a great experience with a company doesn't necessarily mean the stock price is going to go up. In fact, even taking a look at Amazon here recently has been going down. And if you really love this company and you got it over here, now, it's been going down, down, down. And yeah, from an investment standpoint, it just hasn't panned out well. Now, on a longer term scale, if you're starting to look at these things maybe much longer term, it might work out just fine, right? Because now you're coming back into some support levels. This thing could bounce. You could be back at a higher level and point. And in that case, it might still pan out well, especially, in the past, it's just been grinding to the upside. But you need to recognize that if you're making trading decisions based on, hey, I really love this company, if you start hearing those kinds of things, then that could be a big, big issue and problem. So regardless of, how you feel about the company, it's important to separate some of those trading decisions from the love of the company or a product or service. So for example, I'll tell you right now, I'm a, typical Android user and I have Google Pixel, but I like to trade Apple from a stock perspective. Like, I don't really care for the products at all. That's just me as a consumer or user. But from a stock perspective, I totally enjoy trading it. It's got the liquidity. It's got the option spreads. It's easy to get in and out because of that liquidity. The bid-ask spread is favorable. So, and the chart's been really nice and good. And a lot of people that trade this company in stock, they're really devoted to it. So I know that when it starts to pull back, it doesn't always last as long. So my point is that you don't have to like the company to trade it. But, for a lot of people just starting out, that's kind of how they approach it. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but just be careful that sometimes it can warp your opinion or decision-making process. So be very careful if you're starting to do that and recognize that. So my point being here is that sometimes it's nice to, if you're trading by the charts, sometimes to block out the name or what name it is. And you can do that in certain software, or you can just put kind of like a blocker here, even on your monitor, like a sticky note, and it just blocks things out. And you can go through by tabbing things over from a different platform. So for example, I use TC2000 a lot of time for my scan list here, and I'm going to pull it up over here. This is, by the way, on my website. You can use this program as well. It's made by Warden. I think if you go through my website, there's like a little discount for it. But anyway, so let's say we've got kind of the name over here. So you could see there's the name, this name right here. So what you could do actually is, in this case, put a sticky note there so you don't see the company. And then what I can do is on this side, click the first one. And then what I'll do is you can just start tabbing and spacing away and looking at just the charts. Now, I know that over here in the background, it still has the name, but you could change that. There is in the edit chart properties right here. There's the option symbol, color and grid right here. So symbol and watermark. You could also get rid of this completely and then it's gone. And now you really can't see anything of the company. So what you could do is go through the charts and just really make those trading decisions just by the charts and less so much about company. Like, oh, what do I think? What do I feel? It's like, oh, this one's breaking out. Oh, okay, but it's Carnival Corp. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. It's a cruise line. But my point here is like, look at what's happening, what's going on underneath the surface, and make a much more clear decision. Sometimes we just get that halo effect happening because we're influenced from other areas and aspects of our life. So I hope that helps, gives you some insight and maybe a technique or trick you could use to continue to evolve and make some wiser trading decisions. Truly appreciate you joining me. Feel free to check out the one-on-one coaching or mentoring program if you want to work with me on a longer term basis or multiple months. And there's also some great courses there as well. All right. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.